Hi, how are you? This is Eric Zaragoza. I just listened to the Duncan sermon, and I have notes, so please don't mind if I'm looking down at them. Um, but basically, what Duncan did is broke up his sermon into four parts. The first being him explaining trials by ordeals, the second being a sexual purity type deal, the third being describing the oath that the wife had to take, and the fourth being the importance of marriage and the bond that's between a man and a wife. Um, so starting out, trials by ordeal is basically a trial done to prove innocence of the accused. Um, and oftentimes, instead of nowadays, where you're innocent until proven guilty, you're proven you were guilty until proven innocent back then, which was tough. And oftentimes, these trials would be very cruel and gruesome and not fair. But in this case, it's not cruel at all. It actually takes place in the tabernacle with a priest, and it occurs when a husband believes um, his wife is having an affair with someone, and he's been jealous, so he brings it to the priest. And this happens mainly in extreme cases because, like Duncan said, if he was wrong and he did all this, he'd be sleeping on the couch for a while. Um, Basically, what would happen though is also described in the second part or the third part. I'm sorry, in the oath, where she would be given a cup of holy water, and dust from the tabernacle floor would be put in there. And there's symbolism in this. Um, on Mount Sinai, when Moses was getting the Ten Commandments, and the Israelites were worshiping the golden calf, and him and Aaron ground it up, put it in the water, and made them drink it. Um, and also in Genesis, when Satan came around and Jesus said, "You're going to now slide on the ground and eat the dust of the earth." So there's symbolism in that, showing the importance of what that dust meant, and would remind the people of God. So, um, in saying all that, the oath that which she would have to take would obviously be a sign of her taking in holiness and a part of God, which is often different because she's taking somewhat of a sacrifice. She's bringing the oath upon herself, and the priest was told what to pray, which is the first time as well that that has ever happened and will happen. The first time that God has said you need to say this when this does happen. So it's a very big ordeal according to God because of the importance that He believes marriage and relationship entails, because it not only is a relationship between man and wife, but it also symbolizes their relationship with God. And if you can't have a good relationship here on earth, um, there's no way that you can have the type of relationship that is necessary to have with God, uh, because of the importance of that. So, doing that, let me look at the questions one more time. Basically, how he integrated the book or passage from where he's preaching in his biblical story time, like I said, is when he went back with the golden calf, with the serpent, and um, all of that. But also in that storyline, with them having to go to the tabernacle and with it being such a big ordeal, it wasn't just a very personal issue. If this was brought to the temple, it would be very embarrassing because if she was proven guilty, everyone would know. Like Duncan said, it's not a personal type thing. It's a relationship that affects everybody. So in affecting everybody, um, that wife, if proven guilty, would be excommunicated and exiled from God and His people. Um, so that's how it integrated with the biblical story time of that line, that that time and times before. Um, I believe he did articulate his message um, very appropriately. He made it extremely simple. While he was reading the Bible and the passage that he was going to work off of, I during the whole oath portion of it all, I was actually very confused, and I had to tell myself, listen to it one more time, and then wait for him to explain it through um, the entire sermon, which he did very well. It was very easy to follow, and I think that helped me understand not only the importance of relationships, but the importance of an oath, the importance of um, sexual purity, which I believe abstinence leaves everything out. You have no problems if you abstain, and that's what God teaches and what He expects. Um, and like He said in Revelation, God does not deal with sexual immorality at all. Um, until you're married, it's not supposed to happen, and if it's unrepented, then you're definitely not getting into heaven, and that's a clear point that Jesus does get across in the Bible, and Duncan spoke of that as well at the end of his sermon. Um, so it was very clear, and I actually enjoyed listening to it. It was fresh. It was good to hear, and he made it very simple, but he gave a lot of examples, which was great as well. Um, and on an aspect of challenging my own personal habits or beliefs, it emphasizes the importance, like I've said before, um, with everything, not just marriage and abstinence and all that, but the importance of a relationship with God. Like Duncan had said, if and like I've said before, if you can have a certain relationship here on earth, in an earthly relationship, there's no chance you'll ever come close to being able to stay in a relationship with God. Um, and that's the importance of all this, and the symbolism of the oath and all that is considered huge because it's dealing with God, which is a very very big ordeal, obviously. Um, I see some other things I wrote down at the end as well. Men are reminded by Peter, I believe, also, as Duncan had said, that the husbands and that includes everybody, including myself, one day, um, that we need to treat our wives right. And in doing that, it's somewhat symbolically of the church as well. Um, that if we can treat our wives right, we can treat the church right, and that's what we need to do. So it somewhat goes with the earlier fact of if we can't have a relationship, we can't have one with God. Um, and another big thing that he preached was the sacrament portion. It's not just a spiritual thing that's going on. It's very symbolic and earthly, worldly, something that you can see, and obviously that was shown in her actually holding holy water in her hands and taking that sacrament into her body, something that was extremely holy. That water was in the tabernacle. In They took dust off the tabernacle, which might seem gross, but it's a big thing. Um, so I believe through all this, Duncan really portrayed well what he was trying to get across, and he did it in a short amount of time, which was tough. He did a great job. So I appreciate what he did, and I appreciated this lecture. So thank you.